So I think really good points about the context, particularly as Rosie has underlined how much the pandemic has exposed, I suppose, the gaps and the precarity and how close to the economic edge people have been living. And I think there's just a wider understanding of that everybody's life isn't kind of, neatly in either one job or in not working. And I think as well that kind of buy-in to universality, the fact that whether it was furlough or SEISS or whatever, or the kind of business directed grant schemes, they have just gone widely. And clearly there have been winners and losers in that. There have been people who maybe didn't have massive losses to their income, or didn't have massively or had reduced overheads, for example, who've got a large intervention. And I think people have understood that to make sure nobody fell through the gaps, that's why they have to be widely applied, albeit there were certainly gaps to that. I think it's worth, and by the way, the SDLP supports it and was in that cross-party push on it a number of months ago. I must say I have always had some skepticism about it, primarily just in the context of the Conservative government and the worry, yes, the kind of distortive effect that Chris has referred to, in terms of, if it's kind of baked in and priced in, that you could see a rise in kind of basic costs. But I suppose just in terms of, let's say, the government that we live under, and the worry that it would be, it would replace other more targeted and progressive interventions, i.e., you're not getting free school meals anymore, take it out of your basic income. We're no longer funding this community initiative. Sure, you've got your £1,000, etc., etc. That it would be used as a way to withdraw other support, and that there isn't a particularly progressive tax system to try and retrieve it from higher earners. I think it's a fair point as well that it covers up other gaps and distortion. But I suppose, you can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good here. And as well, in terms of the economic cycle and phasing that we're about to go into, that concept of helicopter money, basically of stimulus and cash going directly into people's pockets, is of the moment and is relevant. So while there's buy-in, yes, sort of, I like others, I don't think it's a panacea. As I say, my worry is that other supports and social supports that are more targeted and more progressive would be wound down. But if you can get buy-in, and if you can get buy-in from parts of the economic spectrum who don't support more targeted and progressive measures, then maybe that's the time. I think the coalition, the kind of parliament-based coalition that we were part of, that we're looking at this, we're kind of, I suppose, putting in some sub-asks, whether that was, the likes of the universal credit uplift or an increase in child benefit, for example, that has a degree of universality. Obviously, it only covers children or people who live with children, but finding other ways to do it. So yes, if it's going, we'll certainly take it. But there is a risk that it displaces other more targeted interventions, and I suppose draws resource away from those. So it wouldn't necessarily address kind of inequalities and the gaps and the challenges that they produce.